These are the plaintiffs, Hector and Christian Cortez. Hector says they were sold what they thought was an AKC-registered puppy from the defendant. But as it turns out, they were scammed. They work hard for their money and are suing a shifty defendant for the $1,200 they're owed. This is the defendant, Scott Turner. He says the plaintiffs loved the puppy, paid him, and he gave them the birth certificate and AKC papers. He sold them a perfectly healthy puppy and doesn't owe them a dime. He's accused of pooping out on a puppy purchase.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs say they were scammed by the defendant who sold them a very sickly German Shepherd and now will not refund their money. But the defendant says the puppy was and still is perfectly healthy, so he owes them nothing. It's the case of pooping out on a pup.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Hector Cortez.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Christian Cortez. What's the relationship between the two of you?
Father and son.
Okay. You folks bought a German Shepherd puppy from Mr. Turner, correct?
Correct.
What happened? How did you hear about, where'd you see the ad? Where did you see it advertised?
Well, on that day of the October 26th, on a Monday, I went to take my son to register so he could vote for the president and all that. And I saw a sign on Craigslist or NAP where he was selling German Shepherd puppies. So I got in contact with him through text, and he said, yeah, he was selling puppies. He sent me a picture of two puppies where he said that he was only selling one because the second one or the other one had like an cyst or something like that, and they needed to get operated. So he wasn't going to sell that one. He was just selling one. So we agreed to it. He told me to go down to his house. I said I can't go because I was registering my son to vote and all that. So he said he was going to be going down to Tampa and we could meet somewhere around that area. And I was like, well, that's fine. So
you guys met halfway, and he brought the puppy and you brought the cash. And when you saw the puppy, did everything look okay?
Well, he had the dog and the puppy on his hands, and so you really can tell how the puppy was. Physically, the dog looked okay, like when he was holding it. So I asked him if he had a collar or a leash where I could like put the dog on the floor and walk him, but he said he didn't have it. I didn't have one either, and I just didn't want to risk putting the dog on the floor and that he could like run off and get hit by a car or anything because we were right on close to the highway I-4. In a parking lot, Cracker Barrel's restaurant parking lot. So I told my son, take the puppy, put it in the car to see if it'll like walk around on the seat over there, but the puppy just
Why don't you just
down.
walk into the Cracker Barrel, into the men's room real quick and then put the puppy down? Didn't occur to you?
Okay, so I was going to leave with the dog or anything like that too, you know?
No, but he can walk in with you to the Cracker Barrel. It's not like, all right, so go on. Go ahead. So what happens? You put the dog inside of your car, and what happens?
Sat down. The dog just sat down, but he looked okay. So I paid him the money. Actually, it was cash.
How much did you pay?
$1,200, $1,200.
Okay.
So he gave me his personal phone number. He said, well, that's when we were texting. He goes, that's my personal phone number. You can have it and all. And so we got home. We drove home, and as soon as we got home, my son put the dog on the floor, and the dog was walking really wobbly, and it looked weird, like how he was walking. So I sent the picture, like it was like, you know how the dog has the paw, then they have the bone, and then they have like a little elbow in the back, and then it goes long again. Well, the puppy was walking almost on his elbow completely toward the floor.
Do you have video of that?
I don't have a video of it because I didn't record it. It was at that same day, and so I tried to call him that same night, and he didn't answer. So I called him the next day and didn't answer. So I started looking at the papers he gave me, where he said also that the paper says the dog puppy is 100% certified and healthy. So you know how the doctors, when they write, you can't really read or understand like their writings. So I found the address to the vet where he took the dog, and I drove all the way down there to that address, and I called because of the COVID. So I called. I said, look, I purchased a dog, and I wanted to know if you could have a look at the dog because I'm concerned of how the dog is walking. So she told me, well, the vet's not in right now, but if you want, you can come in and I'll take a look at the dog. This was the nurse that I was talking to. So she, in that same moment, the vet had called her. They were on the phone, and she explained, look, there's a guy here that brought in a dog, and he's concerned of how the dog is walking. And she goes, well, let me take. She goes, take a video and send it to me. So the nurse took a video. She sent it to the vet, and the vet said, well, if you want, make an appointment for Thursday or something like that, so you could bring it in. I was like, I can't because I live in Tampa and I work. There's no way I could, bring it over to you. I just want to find out if the dog is good or not, or if it's normal for him to walk like that, because I've never seen a German Shepherd.
Well, why didn't you
walk
just
like that,
take the dog? Okay, but why didn't you just take the dog to a vet where you live? I mean, there's lots of vets in Tampa. Did you ever take the dog to a vet where you live?
Well, because since he said that the vet was certified that the dog was healthy, I wanted to interact with the same vet he took it to.
Okay, now that's fine. And so you're there and you say, did you certify this dog was healthy? And what did the vet say?
No, she said, well, let me see the paper that you have. So I showed her the paper, and she goes, no, the only thing that
showed who the paper?
The nurse.
That the only thing it says there is what?
The only thing that it says on there is that the dog was brought in and he has his shots up to date. And
what's the title on that paper?
It says Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service, official certification of veterinarian inspection for interstate sale of a dog or cat.
Okay, that's exactly what that form is. That form is in order to certify that you can sell the animal, that the animal's fit for purchase. Mr. Turner, what happens here? Do they call you and do they tell you there's something wrong? What's wrong with the dog? How do you first learn that there's a problem?
Your Honor, I apologize for my vision. I can't see you, but this is my side of the
I look
story.
fabulous.
I'm sure you do, Your Honor. I hope I look fabulous. My wife posted thank you very much. My wife posted a litter of puppies with video. These are German Shepherds, Your Honor. They have a different stance than a normal German Shepherd. They're very low in the back.
When you say normal, they have a different stance than an American German Shepherd, right?
Completely. They're low in the back, high in the front. It's a championship bloodline, AKC, full registered. I videoed the puppies at 6 weeks, well, my wife did, and we posted them, hadn't had any trouble until I sold this puppy to Mr. Cortez. I did meet him exactly like he stated. I met him and his son. I did hand off the puppy exactly like he stated. I did take the $1,200 from Mr. Cortez. The next day, I've had serious heart conditions, so I was at the VA hospital in Lake Nona getting extensive heart tests, and I get a call from my neighbor. My neighbor said there's a gentleman in my yard, which that's unacceptable because my entire property is posted. So my neighbor said someone's there and they have a dog. I said, well, I'm hanging up and I'm calling 911. So I did. I called the sheriff's department. I instructed them that someone was on my property unannounced. They had not told me they were going to be there, and I wanted a deputy to respond immediately because I have horses and other dogs there. The front gate was left open because when I left to go to the doctor, I left the front 20-foot gate open, but I closed the second gate. Make a long story short, I had contact with Mr. Cortez at that point. He called my number. I told him I was at the hospital. I wasn't home. I told him that the deputies would be there within minutes. At that point, we were off the phone. My neighbor called me back again and said Mr. Cortez had put the dog over the fence and fled the scene. When I got home, it was about 2 hours later. The dog had been put over the fence with no water. Luckily, my stallion wasn't out because he would have stomped the dog to death. Thank goodness.
Can I ask a question? I'm kind of confused. How did you put the animal over a fence? How did you do that, Mr. Cortez?
Well, that's why once I drove into the driveway, everything else is fenced up. So he has a mobile home there, and the neighbor saw me, and I just put the dog over the fence because since he was,
How tall is your fence?
About 5 feet and 20 feet wide. The dog was left with no water for a period of time.
Why would you, but like Mr. Cortez, why would you do that instead? Why? Because it's inconvenient, because it's 2 hours away, but you're going to have a dispute with him, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You go and you kind of ditch the puppy there. What if another animal had trampled it?
Well, the thing was that there was no horses or anything in the front. Everything was fenced away. You
don't know what there is. This isn't your property.
I know. I understand that it wasn't my property.
What you've done is you've returned a puppy based on what? You didn't like the way the puppy walked? Because you don't have veterinary evidence that there's something wrong with the dog, do you?
No, because the doctor wasn't in there. Obviously, the nurse isn't going to give me any paperwork or anything.
Right.
But
okay. Have you had a chance since this time to look at the law that governs your case? Have you gone online and put in puppy sales in Florida?
No.
Did you guys get a receipt did you get a bill of sale and like anything from the defendant that talked about, was there any paperwork with the defendant? Besides the AKC papers, was there a contract?
No, he just said, I only take cash. I don't take checks or anything like that. And no, we didn't sign anything.
Okay, was there a contract for the sale of the puppy or no, Mr. Turner?
Your Honor, there was no contract. However, AKC does cover any health issues with an AKC puppy at the point of sale for 30 days. The puppy had been vetted twice, 8 weeks and 12 weeks. Had 2 health certificates issued for that puppy and also a third at 16 weeks. The puppy's been
So what's the problem? It's just that he doesn't understand that the German Shepherds have a different gait? That's what it is?
That's my opinion, Your Honor, yes. And if he had been a gentleman, he was not a gentleman at the vet office, as you can see by the evidence I supplied, written statement from the vet. Also, he wasn't a gentleman with me. The law states if he had gone to, and I'm not trying to quote the law to you, Your Honor, I just know from what I've read.
Feel free.
828.29, I believe, is the statute. If Mr. Cortez had gone to a vet, and if he had gotten a certificate from the vet of his choice stating the dog had a problem, if it did in fact have a problem, then his rights would have been to return the puppy for a refund or another puppy.
If you just put in the words, puppy purchase Florida, anything just those 2 words, you would know that within 14 days following the sale of a pet dealer of an animal, if within those 14 days, a veterinary of your choosing, you don't have to go to his vet, you can go to any vet you want, certifies that the puppy is unfit for sale because of some kind of congenital defect, whatever's wrong with it, then you are able to return you get like 3 choices. One is exchange a puppy, another one is return the puppy, another one is get vet bills to cure the puppy up to the purchase price. There's a whole formula. Every state has laws like that. But you don't even have you just decided you didn't like how the puppy walked, and then you dump the puppy on him. That's like really bad, that's because, and to say nothing of monetarily risky, because now there's $1,200 on his side and a puppy. What ended up happening with the puppy?
I have the puppy here, Your Honor. And another problem, Mr. Cortez retained the AKC paperwork, which rendered the dog not able to sell because what could I do with the dog?
You didn't return the AKC papers, correct? But you can always get another copy of the AKC papers. That wouldn't have been that big a deal. That didn't prevent you. Did you just decide to keep the animal as a pet?
Well, the court, I was sued in Tampa court, Your Honor, and the court date was pushed out to February, and I felt the dog had a bearing on this case. I have him right here with me now.
Let's see. The dog is right next to you. Are you on a phone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am.
Can you twist the phone and let me see the dog walk?
Come here, Kanga. And there he is, wagging. Can you see him?
Yeah.
He's over there. We need to go out in the grass.
Look at the back legs.
Hold it.
Can you call him? All right, here we go.
Too far.
Can you see him now? He's about to zap by electric fence. Kanga, get away from that dog. Come here. Hey. Could you see him?
I did. But more importantly, Hector and Christian, you guys have to follow the law even if you don't know the law. And the law doesn't let you just dump the puppy there. You have to go through certain steps. But no matter what, when you're in court, in order to get your money back, you have to prove there's something wrong with the dog. And you have no evidence there's anything wrong with the dog. If you go online, you will read a lot about this, that they have a different gait. It's not that they're damaged, it's that they have a different gait. You know, their legs are lower in the back. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with the dog. Now, we've got a problem, and the problem is you claim you couldn't sell it because you didn't have the AKC papers, but you and I both know you can get a copy of the AKC papers. So now you've decided to keep it as a pet because you don't want to give him the animal.
No.
You want to keep the animal.
No way. Well, I don't trust him.
No, I know. So doesn't it mean, so I have to fashion a verdict that takes that into account because now you have $1,200 and the animal. You see?
Yes, ma'am.
If this is a dispute against over a piece of furniture, no, I know, and that'll be in the math. That will definitely be in the math. Okay?
Yes,
but
ma'am.
so now I have a situation where it's really his animal. He doesn't want the animal. You've got the animal and you've got the $1,200. Do you think that it's fair for some money to go back to the Cortezes based on the fact that you kept the animal? Or do you feel like it's not fair because this is all of their doing?
The animal was abandoned, Your Honor. It wasn't given to me, number one. And it was abandoned in a situation where it could have been harmed, which that's animal abuse as far as I'm concerned. As far as those gentlemen, they did not handle themselves like gentlemen at the vet office or at my residence. So it's totally up to you, Your Honor, what you do with the verdict, and I respect whatever your decision is. It's hard to sell a 5- and 6-month-old puppy because people want little puppies. They want an 8-week-old puppy. They don't want a 6-month-old puppy. And that's unfortunate because they're just as good as an 8-week-old puppy. They're just as loving. They're just bigger. So it's a tough decision.
Dr. Jennifer Bowler was presented on 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and 16 weeks with a male German breed shepherd puppy for checkup and puppy boosters. On presentation every time, he was active and mobile and had no luxation in any joints. I am sending this letter to hopefully show the health of this now 4-month, 3-week-old male German shepherd puppy. And she did provide the sale and health certificate. Why were you saying in your complaint that the nurse was saying that they never provided the health certificate? Because you say she said, oh, this isn't a health certificate? She couldn't have said that because that is the health certificate. And the vet confirms that they filled it out. I tend to agree with you, Mr. Turner. It's not of your doing. Then there's a lawsuit. Then you got to hold the animal for the lawsuit. And I am going to rule in your favor, and I'm not going to order you to return any money. My verdict is for Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The Cortezes, who are the plaintiffs, have lost the case. They've lost the $1,200, and they don't have the dog. Gentlemen, what are you thinking about this case?
I did go to the, to the vet. You know, I just didn't get any paper from because she wasn't there. I talked to the nurse the whole time.
Well, you simply didn't have the evidence on your side in this case. I'm sorry, but the judge has found against you. You were suing for $1,200. You don't get anything, and Mr. Turner gets to keep the dog. Mr. Turner, so do I gather you're going to keep the dog then and raise it yourself?
I've been raising him since he was a puppy, so it looks like that's going to be the case. He's a good dog.
Well, you know, as someone who's owned 4 German Shepherds, they become your best friends very soon, and they are great, great dogs. So congratulations. Good luck with him, okay?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Very good. All righty. Very interesting case indeed. Let's see what the judges have to say now.
Florida law has a procedure you're supposed to follow if you want to return a dog and get a different dog or get your money back, and he just didn't follow it in this case, right?
Yeah, and it's really simple, and most states have this procedure where you just have to have a veterinarian say, this animal is unfit for purchase. According to him,
there's no evidence of that.
None.
Look, I don't think rationally when it comes to these dog cases, because I love dogs so much, and especially German Shepherds. I had one for 16 years when I was a kid, and that dog would have fought to her last breath to protect anybody in my household under any situation, and she was kind and loving.
You're getting teary-eyed. Do you get teary-eyed talking about me that way?
You don't love me quite as unconditionally
as Lisa did.
Exactly. So you can forgive me for that.
So Barry wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, what's your favorite lawyer court movie? Absolutely. It is And Justice for All. And you know why? You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole courtroom's out of order.